So Gary, thank you so much for coming on with me today. How are you doing? How's your day going?
Yeah, we're doing great. Just the normal dealing with all the issues you got to deal with. Whether it's, I was meeting with someone on my team today, and I said, who would ever thought 2 years ago we'd still be talking about COVID and dealing with protocols and how we've got to, move things around and put something together to still deal with the protocols you got to deal with.
Right, it's very unfortunate. I COVID kind of ended my senior year pretty abruptly, but I've moved. We're kind of moving on from it, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into the questions now. First, I know you are the Peach Bowl CEO and president. I just want to know, how did you get involved with the Peach Bowl, or how did you get involved with becoming the CEO or the president, or such a high power in a big bowl?
Yeah, I had served as a volunteer living in Atlanta since 1980, when I was working with Adidas. And so I got involved that way, and then was on the team selection committee. Back then, we used to travel around and visit with coaches and ADs, and the Bulls usually would make their selections. So you had to recruit teams basically, and coaches and ADs. And so then in 1998, I was working for Adidas and traveling pretty much around the world. My office was in Portland, and I was living in Atlanta. So I would commute out there every Sunday night, flying to Portland, and then spend the week there, or fly from there to Dallas or New York, or start the week in Europe, because Herzegovina, West Germany, the wall was still up. That's where Adidas was headquartered. So I'd either be traveling Europe or the United States, put on probably about 150,000 miles a year. And my daughters were going into middle school here in Atlanta, and my predecessor went to run the Super Bowl that we were going to have in Atlanta in 2000. They had to start it up in 1998. And so, serving on their board and as a volunteer, the board member said, "Hey, Gary, you're involved in sports, the coaches and ADs. How would you like to come run the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Atlanta Sports Council?" And so it was a good time for me to get off the road and spend more time in Atlanta with my family. And so I made the move in 1998 and been here ever since. So it's been a great run.
That's crazy. That kind of gives you a good perspective of how long the Peach Bowl has kind of been around, and how things like this have been kind of going on. It definitely gave me some sort of perspective. So going into the game, the Peach Bowl was Pitt versus Michigan State, obviously. Two teams that have really shown, incredible progress from the past 2 years. Just trying to pick your brain a little bit. What do you like about these two teams going into the game?
Well, they both have a lot to play for. Michigan State and Pitt can both finish in the top 10, which is not something they've done on a regular basis. Pitt, this would be the first or second time, I should say, in 117 years that they would finish with 12 wins. Only the 1976 national championship team was able to do that. So there's some history there. And in Michigan State's case, to finish with a win and 11 wins would only be the fifth time in their 97-year history. So obviously, anytime you play a game on a big time stage in a big time atmosphere, you want to win, but they got a little extra to play for history's sake, and to be remembered in the annals of, their respective schools.
Right. Yeah. So growing up in Pittsburgh, I definitely know that this Pitt team definitely has a lot to play for going into the game today. And this year they were kind of led by their senior quarterback, Kenny Pickett. I know he isn't playing in the game. He's going to skip out on the bowl to pursue the NFL draft. I want to quickly get your thoughts on what you think about both him and Kenneth Walker from Michigan State skipping the Peach Bowl, and just what you think about that.
Well, in this day and time, obviously with the NFL and what they're paying salary-wise, you fully understand the decision that, those kids had to make with their parents and their coaches and their agents. So we fully understand it. We wish them well. But on the bright side, in sports, it presents another opportunity for someone to step up. And so whether it's Simmons, the running back at Michigan State, or Patty, the quarterback at Pitt, gives them a chance to play on the big stage. And, their teammates are obviously going to work extra for those guys because they're going to support them and they want to win the game. So, it always presents opportunities. It's like life. And it's what you do with those opportunities that details whether you're a success or not. So, both those individuals and I'm sure others on their team have the opportunity to play now. And that's why you're on a team. You take care of each other.
I love it. So staying on with Pitt, you are from Pittsburgh. I kind of wanted to know if you had a little bit of a rooting interest to kind of see them, do well, win the ACC, especially with the ACC having an automatic bid into the Peach Bowl this year. Did you kind of have some sort of rooting interest for Pitt this year?
What's interesting, I went to North Carolina State, and so I didn't go to University of Pittsburgh. But knowing Pat Narduzzi and having Mel Tucker have played in our game as a coach, with going back to the 2000 Peach Bowl and then the Chick-fil-A kickoff games when he was at Georgia, you learn in this business to root for friends. So I have so many friends that I don't root for teams necessarily. I root for coaches and ADs that I know and have developed friendships with. So both the schools, Michigan State and Pitt, when you're in this type of position, you don't root. You just hope for a 3 overtime game and great viewership.
Right. So like I said, Pitt was an automatic bid into the Peach Bowl this year, but Michigan State was an at-large team. You got to choose which team you wanted to bring in, and you brought in Michigan State. Could I get your thought process behind bringing them in as the at-large team to play Pitt?
Well, that's interesting. Since we joined the CFP back in 2015, we gave up the rights to select the teams. So the CFP selection committee this year placed the top 4 teams in the Cotton and the Orange in the semifinals. And then because we're a New Year's 6 at-large bowl this year, next year we'll host the semifinals with the Fiesta Bowl. But this year we were an at-large bowl. So the committee selected the top 4, put them in the Orange and the Cotton, and then they went back to the Rose and the Sugar because those bowls have contracts with their respective conferences. So in the case of the SEC, it's with the Big 12 or with the Sugar Bowl, it's the SEC and Big 12. And with the Rose Bowl, it's the Big 10 and the Pac-12. So those 2 bowls made their selections. And then it went back to the selection committee and they placed the at-large teams in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl. So really, we didn't have any say. We didn't know who we were going to get. I remember in 2015, our first year in the CFP, calling Bill Hancock on Saturday and saying, "Bill, you're going to call me, and let me know who we have, right?" And he laughed and he said, "Gary, you'll find out when the rest of America finds out." So on Sunday, there we were, our staff and our board sitting in the executive boardroom, watching TV just like you were, and it popped up Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, TCU and Ole Miss, and those were the 2 teams we had. So every Sunday, it's in selection Sundays like Christmas. You wait with anticipation to see what 2 teams you're able to host, and that's the way it works.
That's very interesting. I did not know that. Is every bowl like that, or is it just the New Year's 6 that the CFP committee chooses the teams for? Or
yeah, just the New Year's 6. Okay. And then the bowls below us, what they do typically is they'll put the top 3 teams that they want, and then the respective conference that has a contract with that bowl, they'll ask the teams to list their 1, 2, and 3 bowls. And if you come up number 1 and number 1, that's how they make the selection. Sometimes they have to work things around. You don't want to do repeats of regular season games.
Right.
You do repeats of the same team going to the same bowl back to back or playing the same team again. So, below us, they kind of work it out between the conference and the respective bowls and the teams.
That's very interesting. So let's get back to the Peach Bowl a little bit. Going off, just so last year there weren't fans involved at all last season. Just for like,
well, we had 25%. We were able to do 25% capacity with number 8 Cincinnati and number 9 Georgia.
That's right. Okay, so now that there are more fans this year, what should people going to the game look forward to outside of seeing 2 top 15 good quality football teams?
Well, Atlanta's a great time of the year during our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl week. It's a great place to shop. You know, it's a great place for restaurants and bars. But with respect to things to do, the Pitt people are staying in the Omni, which if you walk outside the Omni door, right to the right is CNN Center, right to the left is the College Football Hall of Fame, and across the street is Centennial Olympic Park. And then around Centennial Olympic Park, you have the world's largest aquarium, and you have the World of Coke, and you have the Civil and Human Rights Center. So, you know, you could literally walk 100 yards and be at any one of those activities.
That's
Then
very
on,
cool.
we have a parade that goes right around Centennial Olympic Park into Mercedes-Benz and into the Georgia World Congress Center. And the Georgia World Congress Center hosts our Fan Fest, which will be all kind of games and activities and, you know, trophies and, you know, really set you up for a game day experience. And then we'll have the teams actually walk through the crowd, their band and their cheerleaders into Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the Home Depot backyard. So people get a chance to, you know, see the team as they walk into the stadium. So, and then we'll kick off at 7 o'clock in prime time, you know, on ESPN. So a lot to do. The things I would do if I'm down here for 2 or 3 days is definitely go to the College Football Hall of Fame. You'll get a unique experience of the university you're from. So when you log in, you get a credential that has an RFID chip that identifies you. So if you went to University of Pittsburgh, when you walk up to an exhibit, it'll say, you know, hello, Anthony, and have the Pitt logo there. And so you can have a Pitt experience as you go through the Hall of Fame. And then you can have a totally immersive college football experience as well. So that's a must do for people if they come in the day before. And then the day of the parade, Fan Fest, the team walks, and then going into the stadium would be what I would suggest.
That's very cool. I've always kind of had an intrigue with Atlanta, but I never really knew like what, you know, what they have there. And you definitely gave a good spotlight on that for sure. So you talked about COVID right before we got on. COVID is an issue yet again this year, just like you said. What are some of the protocols that the Peach Bowl has in place for both the fans, just like you talked about, and the players this year?
Well, obviously, masks are highly recommended. Social distancing as well. We're making sure that safety is preeminent in everything that we do. So we'll keep the teams pretty well, you know, in their own situation where we won't put a lot of people around them. They do a pretty good job after 2 years of dealing with this, where most, if not all of their team and their staff has either had COVID or they're totally vaccinated. So all of our staff is vaccinated. So, you know, we've taken those precautions before, and then we want to make sure that people wear masks in the press box, in retail, in the clubs that are enclosed, and you know, we'll highly recommend masks for the fans in the stands.
Okay, so going away from the game itself and more into your involvement with the game, I would love to know some of your favorite parts of the job and maybe what you've learned from being the president and CEO of one of the, you know, bigger bowl games of the year.
Well, I think, you know, it's all about relationships, the relationships we have together as a team to put this event on, the relationships we have with our volunteers and our board, who help us put the event on, and then the relationships you have with the teams that come into town. So it's all about relationships and building long-lasting relationships. We have an external business philosophy, which is care. C is for customers always right, treat them with respect. A, attitude, bring a great attitude to work. R, relationships, build long-lasting, deep relationships. And E is excellence, always strive for excellence. So that's our mentality going into, you know, putting on the bowl event. And then internally, our business philosophy is team, which is teamwork. We work together as a team. There's no person too big, too small to do any job or any role. E, we empower everybody on the team to play their specific role. So you have, operations, you have finance, you have legal, you have sales, and you have marketing. You don't want your finance guy doing events. You don't want your events guy doing, sales. So everybody's recruited for a specific role to play. We empower them to play that role. And then A, we make them accountable. So TEA, A is for accountability. You got to play your role. It's not unlike playing in sports. I'm an old coach. So, you don't want your point guard, playing center. You don't want your center bringing the ball up the court. You don't want your quarterback playing tight end. You don't want your tight end playing center. So everybody has a specific role to play. You empower them to play that role, make them accountable to the rest of the team, because if they don't play their role, we're going to fail. So everybody depends on each other to play their role. And then M is managed. We manage through teamwork, empowerment, accountability, management. And that's our internal philosophy.
I love it. It all sounds really good. I'm gonna
Sounds good, but at the end of the day, it's all about execution.
Right. Well, and the Peach Bowl was one of the, I'd say, better run organizations than all college football. So I definitely think you have something good going there.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get into just your involvement with the CFP. You did mention that next year you are sharing the CFP semifinals with the Fiesta Bowl. I just want to know how involved you are with the CFP in regards to voting and other behind the scenes scenarios that fans and other people won't be able to see.
Well, we really don't get involved in like CFP expansion. They have the 11 commissioners and the AD at Notre Dame make those kind of decisions on whether the CFP should expand or not. Will it stay at 4? Does it move to 8? Do we go to 12? And then we hope that number one, college football is the second most favorite sport in the country behind the NFL.
Right.
Whatever is best for college football, that's what we want. And then secondly, with whatever proposal the commissioners come up with, that will ultimately be voted on by the presidents who make up the management committee of the CFP. We hope that we've done a good enough job, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, to be a part of it. The proposal that was put forth with 12 teams, said that quarterfinals and semis would be hosted at bowl games. So we hope the New Year's Six Bowls stay a part of that, where we can host a quarterfinal and then every third year host a semifinal. That will be decided, I think, in January by the CFP. The commissioners are meeting at the national championship in Indianapolis, and they have to come out with a unanimous vote before they can take it to the presidents of the management council. So we'll have to wait and see in January if they're able to do that or not.
It's very interesting. I didn't know how concrete the process was in regards to how the expansion is going and things like that. So that's good to know. And getting to my last question, I know you've got a busy schedule, so I'll get you out of here quickly. I want to get into the charity that the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl has been doing. Everyone knows that the Peach Bowl is one of college football's most charitable bowl organizations. You've won a multitude of awards. The bowl itself was even created for charity back in 1968. What has been the most rewarding part of these charitable functions, at least for you so far in your tenure?
Well, one of the most interesting things we're doing is we donated $20 million to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta 2 years ago. And we sat with the doctors and they said they needed some money to get across what they call the valley of death, which they create trials and drugs and they run out of money before they can get them totally tested to put in front of the FDA to get an approved drug out of it. So we said, well, we'll help fund that. And so we've been able to sit with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta doctors to come up with different trials to attack leukemia, brain tumors, solid tumors. And we now have 7 trials that actually have kids in them testing the drugs and the different trials that the doctors have created. And so they're even working with the Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh on one of those trials. So it's kind of cool to see that develop, and hopefully, our goal is to fund it until we can find some drugs and cures to eradicate childhood cancer. So that's been something that's been very near and dear to our heart. Our Vice President of Sales, Benji Hollis, his daughter contracted leukemia, and after 6 months of radiation and chemotherapy, died after 6 months 2 years ago. Well, it's almost 3 years ago now. So we named the fund the Peach Bowl Legacy Fund. Her name was Anna Charles, and so the A and the C in legacy are capitalized. And we celebrate her life, and hopefully we can work with the doctors and fund them, and they can come up with some cures for some childhood cancers.
That's awesome. Gary, thank you so much for coming on today, giving me
Sure.
some time. I know you're definitely busy, especially this upcoming week with the bowl coming up. So have a good week. Good luck with the game, and thanks for talking.
Sure. Merry Christmas, and good job, and good luck in your career.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.